Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 234, and today we're doing battle in the Foundations Gauntlet. And so, in the previous week, we got through, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these Foundations Gauntlets. I feel like we have a fairly decent grasp on the format, and we're going to take this video here to try and shoot for the Prime Glory on the week. And so, the way I like to approach this format is I don't want to play Jinx Draven. I look to ban Jinx Draven anytime it turns up, and that opens up a lot of flexibility in our deck building in terms of just not really dealing with the aggro decks of the format. I haven't really seen too many people try to bring like a triple aggro lineup. It's typically just Jinx Draven as their only aggro deck. And so we just look to ban that one and get it out of the way. That leaves us in a spot to where we're probably playing against Shadow Isles. And if opponent is bringing the triple Shadow Isles lineup, we look to just ban out the Anivia deck. I think that is the strongest of the Shadow Isles based removal decks. But as we kind of talk about the deck lists a little bit more, we may look to ban out the Deny deck if it exists in code. So the big idea that we have with this lineup is if we have to play against Shadow Isles, we want to be playing against the Harrowing. And then if we're playing against a lineup that doesn't feature Shadow Isles, we're going to look to play Ashe. And so we can bring up the deck lists real quick. The 3 that we're playing, we're going to be playing Ashe Katarina. We're going to play Hecarim, Elise, Fearsomes with the Harrowing, and then we're also going to be playing our Tryndamere deck. Ideally, we'll be bouncing between either Tryndamere or the Ashe Katarina deck. And so again, the way that we're going to look towards this is we're probably going to be playing against Shadow Isles. If we're not playing against Shadow Isles, we want to be playing this. We want to be playing our Ashe Katarina deck. This is a very strong deck against any kind of mid-rangey offering that the opponent can bring up. This combo of having the flash freezes to shut down expensive units, the way to kill them with the calling strikes, the value you get out of both Rhinefang, Wolf, and Trifarian Glory Seeker controlling the board. It's just, if your game plan is to just curve out big units, this deck will absolutely annihilate it. And so this is, kind of deck 1 of the equation, to where if the opponent isn't bringing Shadow Isles, we want to bring this. In terms of our previous gauntlets, we were running Katarina kind of all over the place. We did concede that Katarina was probably the best champion in the game, and very easily the best Noxan champion in the game. So we were kind of splashing her around in different deck lists. In the previous video, this would have been an Ashe Darius deck. And so we've cut down the Darius to 1 to fit in the Katarina, since she's not getting played anywhere else. And then the last thing I found with this deck is I did want to have that extra bit of late game touch with it with the additional Captain Farron's. And so we've cut out an Ancient Yeti to add in the Captain Farron. Deck number 2, Hecarim Elise. This is our Mist Wraiths deck, but again, looking to feature the Harrowing. And so the idea with the Harrowing decks are the big Shadow Isles decks are trying to come at you with kind of 2 ways, right? They want to set up the situation to where you have to decide if your opponent's going to have Vengeance or if they're going to have the Ruination, right? If you can't really play around both, right? If you're playing around Vengeance, you want to flood the board. If you're playing around the Harrowing, or I'm sorry, if you're playing around the Ruination, you want to be kind of going tall. And you find yourself in this really weird bind to where you have to decide which removal spell you're going to play against and risk getting blown up if you pick the wrong one. But what I found is that if you can at least bait out a Harrowing or assume that if you can bait out a Ruination or assume your opponent doesn't have it, then the Harrowing is the big bruiser, game closer kind of thing that there just is not a fantastic answer to. And so Hecarim Elise is what I consider to be our weaker Harrowing deck, and so we get kind of stuck playing it if our main Harrowing deck gets banned out against Shadow Isles. But this gigantic value package of the Harrowings and the Rekindlers and Hecarim tend to be enough to fight through what our opponents are trying to do. The big thing that we talk about is being able to either overwhelm, elusive, or rally through opposing defenses containing mainly little itty-bitty spiderlings, and this deck does it reasonably well with the Fearsomes. Last but not least, our Tryndamere deck. This is a this is a Freylord Allegiance deck, but it does carry the 2 copies of the Harrowing. And so carrying on that same idea, we're looking to overwhelm through all of our opponent's crappy defenses. If our opponent does manage to clear out our board or overwhelm our board, remove our stuff well enough with the various removal spells, we have the copies of the Harrowing to generate back another big overwhelming board. And so, if you followed us last week, these decks should feel pretty familiar. If you're new to the channel or new to what's happening this week, hopefully that gets you caught up with what we're about to do battle with. But everyone knows before the battles begin, the thing you must do, we got to pay the pay-to-win price. And I've been like on this real Katarina kick here this past week. I feel like as we kind of ignored Katarina for a long time, it's just she was a terrible card back in Expedition and never really saw the light of day. I've been kind of mind blown by how good she is here recently, and so I feel like it's probably time. It's probably good to go ahead, give her the premium treatment, load her up with the old Battle Academia skins, and get ourselves into battle. So, Foundations Gauntlet heading in. Ashe deck, sure. Horse deck, okay. Tryndamere, you got it. Let's head on in. Okay. The battles are starting. I'm excited. Hope you are too. And so, if you didn't catch it, the format is the Bring 3 deck, pick and ban. But then you're only playing best of one. I saw that Ruben Zoo tweeted earlier in the week that they're going to keep this through the remainder of the Foundations Gauntlet just to see how things go. And so if you are hoping to get this to switch into the more traditional best of 3 pick and ban, it's not going to happen at least until the Rising Tides comes in. So with this, there's no Jinx Draven. That puts our next ban onto the Anivia deck. This is completely fine. We're going to be running up against some form of Shadow Isles after this, so ideally we'll get to play our Tryndamere deck. If not, I'm happy enough to take in the Elise deck. The Elise deck is what we would ideally take against Heimerdinger. I think it's probably still fair against Elise Callista. This is more of a kind of dead allies theme that probably has missed wraiths in it as well, but I'm not excited about playing our Ashe deck into either of those. Neither of these are going to be kind of go tall style decks, and so I'm pretty sure we want to just be bringing our Shadow Isles offering. Maybe opponent says this is too much. The decision is too big. I wanted to play my Anivia, and he said no. So, so get me out of here. Okay, bans the Ashe. We're bringing Tryndamere. Feels good, man. Feels good. I love this deck. Attacking with an Overwhelm is always nice. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. Right, Elise Callista. So what do we got? Not the highest powered of starts. We're definitely getting rid of the Scar Maiden Reaver, and I do feel like the Avarosian Outrider can be powerful enough to keep in these openers, and so I think this is going to be strong enough here. My concern with this hand is hanging on to the Avarosian Sentry, since there's a good chance it's not really going to be able to block anything. But we'll see. We'll see what he's coming out here with, if it's more of a Fearsome style number, if it's going to be more of the dead allies kind of number, trying to level up the Callista. Hey, Omenhawk here to party. Nice of you to show up right on time. All right, and I think we're going to look to just open attack here. If he starts, like, dropping Elises, we're just never going to be able to attack with anything, and so I think this is fine to just punch in the 1 damage, and then assume we're not going to get to win a combat after that. Looks like we were spot on. All right, he's got the Elise, but we've got the big old mighty Poro if we're going to get the chance to battle with this guy. Look at this. Look how small your units are in comparison to the Poro. You're just getting blanked. Feels good. Interesting attack. Just to try and level up Callista. I mean, it's fairly tempting to just take it. We're going to be coming at him pretty hard with Overwhelms after this. Between a Poro here, and probably can't get an Outrider in next turn. I guess that slows it down a little bit. But it's like, do we even care about Callista flipping? Probably not. It's not like she's Lucian, right? Don't really need the card draw, but I don't think the Sentry or the Omen Hawk are ever going to get a combat in for the rest of the game. So let's let them go ahead and get the card draw in. All right, so now we're ready to start dropping these Outriders. They're not big enough to battle Callista, but our open attack here should be good. Not a ton of cards he can play. If he plays something like Grasp of the Undying to kill our Mighty Poro and completely give up on his turn, then that's great. Looks like he should probably just be taking 4 damage here. All right, Brodio. What's your big play? What are you gonna get going on with the old Callista? So what I'm looking at here is my concern from what would come from opponent would be like something like Vengeance, right? If we come in and drop Scar Maiden Reaver and opponent's able to Vengeance it, that doesn't really play into what we're trying to do. But if he's going to start dropping more Fearsomes in, maybe we do have to look to drop the Reaver next turn. Just drop the Babbling Bjerg now and look to get off of this plan. Maybe we'll have a time next turn, right? If he open attacks on us next turn, we should still be okay. I guess the downside being is if like Callista flips in the middle of combat, we're not going to be able to get a positive block on her. I think I still like drawing towards the big dude. Like, if it really comes down to it, the damage isn't too scary, and we can really shut down a lot of his attacks with an Ice Veil Archer. Whiffed. That's okay. Do we want to just make the most massive unit 2022? Load up that top unit with both the Outriders and the Omen Hawk? Maybe. Maybe. So I think he's considering if he wants to open attack. The thing we can do if he opens is just take the 6 off of the Wraithcaller and the Mistwraith and look to block Callista with like the Mighty Poro. It doesn't seem too greedy, but it's definitely a possibility there. Now that he's tapped down below Vengeance mana, I think I'm fine to just drop the Reaver. He can follow up on the Reaver with a Black Spear, but this kind of seems like he's just going to go for a Glimpse Beyond or something to flip the Callista and try and get her into combat. Now, the thing you can look to do against this Callista, now that we have a... can we get the unit off board? I thought you might have some interactivity with Brittle Steel into Callista, but it doesn't quite seem like that's the case. Now that I think on it a little bit more. But we definitely get the good Reaver block into Callista. The Reaver should then just kill whatever she summons. I think it's Elise at this point. Looks like it's some kind of one attack unit. Thought it should have been Elise. Did she not bring back champions? Oh dear, a Spiderling? Okay. Our Reaver should be safe. Right, he's going to... can't Black Spear, he can Vile Feast. There shouldn't be too many ways to deal 2 damage here for 2 mana. Only a scratch, bruh. Now what do we got? Shatter. The Outriders unit is not turning up. Kind of sad. So the thing here, like I think we're good to still just attack. We can Brittle Steel down the Wraithcaller. Of course, the downside to taking down the Wraithcaller is it activates his Callista for the future turns, but I just don't think we care. He's It's gotta keep this board cleared out a bit. So he's gonna come at us with a black spear. Is that what's about to happen? He wouldn't be blocking the Scar Maiden Reaver if he didn't have a way to deal damage to it. So, like, I could definitely see dropping the Brittle Steel onto the Wraith Collar just to protect our big Reaver. It's gonna die at some point, I guess, if he's got the Black Spear and we're trying to use the Reaver to block Callistas, but seems reasonable. So do we let that happen, or do we need to protect ourselves with the Brittle Steel? I think this is fine. Then we're now going to look to drop the Omen Hawk and the Outriders. And it's like, man, it's like I don't even really want to drop the Outriders since that single big unit is so susceptible to like a Vengeance, right? If we give our top unit in our deck +7/+7, and then opponent just hits it with Vengeance, like that doesn't feel particularly good. So let's do this. Let's drop a Bjerg, see what we're about to pick up. Tryndamere is always fun. We can still Omen Hawk, and then we aren't as like super all in on that singular top unit. This also works out pretty reasonably mana-wise on this next turn if we want to like open with an Iceveil Archer onto Callista or something. Get the chance to shut down a bit of his attack, even though our blockers are pretty good here. Hi, dude. What do we got? Rhinefang Wolf with the big stats. I think I forgot to mention I added in a second copy of Shatter. We're playing 2 Shatters across all of our Freylord decks. I've been exceptionally happy with this card. It's like I don't know how long it's going to carry us. Like I know that talking about current constructed, there's just not a whole lot of space to play Shatter. It's just not quite as good enough at slow speed. But in Foundations only, it has been quite strong. All right, so there we go. We can shut down the Callista. She's going to come in. That's fine. Get a decent trade with the Iceveil Archer on a Mist Wraith. We'll get to add in this big, overwhelming Rhinefang Wolf this turn. And then next turn, we can look to just drop Tryndamere. Have this big old collection of Overwhelms coming in. Then the units I'm going to look to sacrifice are our not Overwhelms, right? We want to have all the Overwhelms that we can next turn. And so we're looking to make these blocks with our... Like, this one's fine. Come in here and block these. If this dude falls, it's not the end of the world. And then now we should be able to prevent all of the damage. Not really losing anything we care about. So now if he wants to play his Grasp of the Undying or whatever to kill a unit, it's just going to be a Babbling Bjerg. Not too worried about that. Does Rhinefang Wolf do anything interesting? Like, I have in my head that you have this ability in Magic to where if you have Death Touch and Overwhelm, or Death Touch and Trample in Magic, you just have to deal 1 damage to the unit, and then the remaining damage can trample through. So if you're attacking with, say, like your Rhinefang Wolf into your opponent's 10/10 unit, you would just need to deal 1 damage to it. The Death Touch would kill it, and you could trample 9. Like, I'm trying to get it in my head that we can do the same thing with the Rhinefang Wolf. Like, if we shatter his Callista, we should be able to hook her in for 1 damage. But I know that's not the way that it actually works. But it's the way I want it to be. So let's see. It looks like we'll be short of lethal off of this. I think it's fine. Could have looked to preemptively shatter, but I think we might need it next turn. Okay. Get him to that 1. What up, Tryndamere? Too good for Expedition. That's what we call him. He got removed from Expedition because he was too good. Poor guy. Who knew life could be so hard? This finally the Vengeance coming in. You could probably save Vengeance for next turn. You'd want to deal damage just to the Reaver. Oh, cool. Just nothing? Excellent. So the thing to kind of look for here is ideally we'll get to play the Trapper before the Avarosian Outriders. It would be pretty nice to, on our next attack token, if we drew that 8/8 Yeti to try and close out the game with. I mean, I'd rather just draw the Harrowing, and so there is some argument to not want to play an Avarosian Trapper, but I think we're kind of stuck deploying him. He's doing this. He'll get a Mist Wraith out of this. It's fine. Right, it's going to summon a... Oh, it's just bringing in physical Mist Wraiths now. I thought it was going to bring in Wraithcaller, but his Mist Wraiths got too big. Alright, though. So, yeah, I guess we will try to see if we can't just get the giant Overwhelm board next turn. If we're going to, say, play Trapper here, we can put the Yeti on top of our deck, or in the top 3. We're not guaranteed to hit the Yeti, but if the Yeti did go in the top 3, that 33% chance we have to hit it, and we get to drop the Overwhelming Yeti along with the standard Overwhelm Ancient Yeti. We got some interesting shots there. Skitterer number 2. Might as well just shatter, right? The only way I see us really losing to this is if he has a Ruination, which it's not out of the picture, but it is certainly possible. Or if he has a Atrocity. And so if we can just come in and prevent some of this damage from coming through, we can still block Callista with Tryndamere. We stopped his big 5 damage hit here. Looks like we should only be taking 7. Right, because Callista will bring in a Mist Wraith, and then we get to take down the Mist Wraith with our Callista block. I guess we'll take 8, because this Mist Wraith down here to the end will grow. You don't stand a chance. All right, let's see if we spike it. See if we hit it. Get that delicious Overwhelm unit right off of the top. Trapper. Alright, he's still a big Trapper, though. Can we play both of these? Yes. Okay. So it's like, if we add the Trapper, and then he plays the Ruination, we want to make sure we can still add a unit behind. And so, if he spends the 9 mana on Ruination, we can still follow up with Ancient Yeti. Should be enough to win. And it looks like we got it. GG. Well done, Tryndamere and team. Tryndamere and co, Tryndamere and fam. Victory was ours. All came down to that shatter, you know. GG. All right, next battle. What will turn up? What could it be? What shenanigans will we get into today? All right, and so this is the kind of space where I'm talking about where I feel a little bit better about having access to this Ashe lineup, right? And so he's not playing the likes of Jinx Draven, so we'll look to ban out the Anivia deck. He absolutely cannot play Fiora Shen, right? If we bring if we bring a Frostbite deck against Fiora Shen, they just get completely smoked. And so I'm still willing to play the Ashe deck. This is probably some kind of aggro spiders deck that we're going to be playing against here. It's typically what you see when it's a Elise Darius deck. They have the early aggro spider package and then the decimates and the like. It's been a fairly common aggro deck since the dawn of man, the dawn of time, if you will. So we'll hang on to some early plays here. I'm not that excited about an early game Ashe. I would rather have a bit of width if we can, as opposed to going tall with a single unit on turn 4. A little worried about the likes of these Avarosian Sentries. They aren't great in the face of a Fearsome, but Omen Hawk is pretty great at shutting down a Legion Saboteur. Good job, friend. I appreciate the hard work you do. All right, boosting up a Rhymefang Wolf sounds reasonable. If he wants to trade, we'll take it. No Fearsome so far. That sounds good to me. Does not feel good if you're playing the aggro deck and considering on turn 2 if you want to trade your 2-drop with your opponent's value unit. Nothing about this feels good ever. All right, good stuff. So we should be pretty safe. Like, it's tough for him to play a unit that's bigger than the Rhymefang Wolf, and so we have lots of options here between the Wolf and the Calling Strike, and we're still having our Yeti reduce in cost. Like, this all looks pretty good to me. Like, what's he gonna do here? Trade an Elixir of Wrath plus his 2-drop for our Rhymefang Wolf, so he deals a point of damage? Like, that all just sounds terrible. If he has the Vile Feast for the Rhymefang Wolf, it's fine. All this feels very positive to me. So I'm just going to go with the Sentry. We get to bank up a little bit of mana going into the next turn. We could have played on curve with our friend Ancient Yeti here, but I like the idea of just banking up a little bit of mana so we have access to this Flash Freeze Calling Strike, and then we're still getting a reduced cost on the Yeti. I think this is good. So this can be like a little scary here. We have the Calling Strike to potentially take this unit down, but it is really painful if we say try to Calling Strike this unit and then he has an Elixir of Wrath and we have to follow up with the Flash Freeze. Like, that's all just really terrible since we drop the Calling Strike in the middle of attack. He plays the Elixir of Wrath and gets that 6 damage hit in on us. In this space, though, we can take the 3. If he is following up with Darius, we still have all these Flash Freezes in hand. And now we're going to be fully banked on mana next turn, rolling into our Darius play.
I'll handle this myself.
See if he's got that Darius of his own. He does. Okay. We'll have to just take it a little bit slow into Darius. I think he's in the space here to where, like, if he wants to block our Darius with his, he just never wins the game. And so we should be pretty safe with him not having a trade. Yeah, we just got this perfect 10 mana set up with our Flash Freeze, our Calling Strike, our big time Ashe ready for battle. This is good. Big time Ashe.
Is that the pitter-patter of little feet?
Not even gonna need that Calling Strike onto Darius.
None shall oppose me.
We could use a bite.
So I got a Flash Freeze for you, bro.
Step away, coward.
Cool. Rip your board. All right, good stuff. So we shouldn't have to worry about too much here. I'm still going to add the Captain Fair into the board. probably have this on an open attack, but if he has something like Nox and Guillotine to really to shut down our board, it's not going to be good. And so it's like he follows up with a big singular play like Captain Fair, and it's just going to get hit with Ashe. This game is done. Right, GG. I guess when he well, we couldn't have calling struck him. Okay, that makes sense. It's like, well, we should have taken the blocker away if we could, but he wasn't flash frozen just yet. All right, GG. All right, next battle. Let's hope it's a doozy. Let's see what happens. Not used to these queue times. You gotta come up with stuff to talk about whenever they're more than 3 seconds. I was always primed and ready in Expedition, but this is a bit of a different story here. Okay, so what are we doing with this collection of units? Like, I don't think I'm like particularly scared about any of these decks. It seems like a real random collection of things. Like, usually when you run into stuff like this, the most likely thing to cause a problem is just whatever the Draven Z deck is. That's probably just like his most aggressive one and the one that's most likely to cause us problems. So we'll just get rid of it. It leaves us open to play Tryndamere. Good to go. I like the flash freezes against a lot of this stuff. So, let's see. Brings the Shadow Isles, sure. Right, so I don't think we want any of this. The Avalanche, probably not great against this one, and then the Icevale Archers are more of a supporting unit, so get those sent away. Not the greatest of starts here, but let's see if we can't turn it around. Oh, the Yetis. Yeti time, bruh. Got the Icevale Archer. He said, you can't get rid of me that easy, bruh. You gotta bring me right back. It'll be tempting to like drop it and play it here if he plays something, just to try and make sure we spend some mana. We don't want to go out of turn 3 without expending at least like a little bit of mana, but this is probably fine. Got a blocker for the Mist Wraith next turn. We can Brittle Steel it if we need to. Seems reasonable. You are pretty good at blocking a Fearsome here, Icevale Archer. Avalanche turns back up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's bringing the Vile Feasts and stuff. Alright, just get this out of here. Prevent all the damage. Hopefully we're good to just start turning this around now. All right, so who we bringing in? What do we got? Not playing the Ancient Yetis, right? There's no real need to get those down immediately. The argument for playing a Babbling Bjerg is that it can block a Mist Wraith and not die, right? His next Mist Wraith is going to have 3 health. That lets it get through the Outriders, but, I mean, I think we're okay just to boost whatever's on top. If we have to play this game a little bit slow from this point forward, it's not horrible, right? And then we are in this space to where on the next turn, maybe we do switch to playing a Babbling Bjerg, but then we can Brittle Steel a small unit and get a good block with the Outriders. Like, we don't have to be in a big hurry in this spot. Sure. So we both spend 4 mana, but we get that choice unit on top of our deck. Look how scary you are, Avarosian Sentry. Look at that. You got all these stats. So good. Same deal. Next turn, we're like really primed and ready to just drop this this giant set of dudes. No need to take the Cursed Keeper off the board since he's already got the Undying. We'll just let him stay in this space to where his dudes can't block. Now let's see if we can't just add Stat Mountain to the board here. I mean, I could even see an argument to just not play the Ancient Yetis and try to get them for the full 0 cost, but I think that's probably a little bit too greedy. This turn just looks so good. I'm the one bringing the laser kitties, bruh. Nice little bit of Overwhelm coming in. We're still pretty well set up in the face of like a Ruination with the Babbling Bjerg in hand and just getting us a big recovery turn. I think this is good. The Babbling Bjerg's kind of especially good since what you typically don't want to hit with it is going to be the Ancient Yetis, because you want to get your Yetis down early and cheap and free, and picking up a 7 mana 5/5 doesn't really feel awesome. And so since we're already down 2 Yetis at this point, it's not horrible. So, new question is like, how do we ever lose this game? And I think, like, the units we have on board just aren't really worth keeping. Like, the way that we lose this game is going to involve him, like, playing a Mist Wraith and throwing atrocities at us or something. I think we're safe to just hold on to the Brittle Steel in case something bad starts to happen. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about too much here, but that didn't feel like a turn where it was ultimately necessary to protect our weaker plays. Okay, I'll leave the Cursed Keeper back. I don't want him to pick up a fresh blocker for next turn. And otherwise, I think we're okay here. Can see the Demacian border from here. Alright, well, I feel good with Tryndamere coming down. Not a lot of great answers to him and Mono Shadow Isles here. Drop a little cupcake, call it a day. What do you think? Is it time for a little cupcake? Just a little bit? This one should be done. He can put the Sentry in front of the Bjerg. He can put Tortured Prodigy in front of, say, Tryndamere. And then, I don't know, have some kind of removal spell for Ancient Yeti that gets him out of dying. But I don't think there's a legitimate way out of it in that space. All right. Good job, Tryndamere deck. Battle number 4 underway. So what do we got? All right. Same deal, friends. We're going to ban out the Anivia deck. It's a little bit different here in that, like, if he picks up the elites, we definitely want to be playing Ashe. But a little bit of, like, worrisome is this Elise deck. I don't think we want to take Elise up into the Shadow Isles. I'm not a huge fan of the Elise deck up against potential denies. And so feel good enough about Ashe battling this thing. And what do we got? Hang on to a combat trick and a brittle steel. Or a glory seeker and a combat trick. It's okay. Not the greatest of starts. She does die to Vile Feasts, which can be problematic, but it does give us an answer to a Callista. Let's wait and see. These Shark Chariots, now we know we're at least safe this turn from Vile Feast. So we should be able to get some damages in. Seems like opponent has no interest in Vile Feasting, though. Everybody's just playing can't block units. Interesting. He creates the Shark Chariot, but then doesn't use it. Callista's only 3 damage. This is fine. And then we're going to be set up with the Glory Seeker Ashe combo into her next turn. Like, all that looks really good to me. It's like even if he comes in with a Vile Feast now, his blocks aren't very good. Okay. Alright, duder. Twin Disciplines to get the bonus health. Okay. So I think we're still pretty safe, right? We're able to now shut down Callista with Brittle Steel. We're probably going to be able to get Katarina on board this turn. She can shoot down a Shark Chariot coming from hand, right? He has all these dead Shark Chariots right now. If we're able to kill one of his ephemerals with Katarina, that would be kind of nice, but I think we should lead with the House Spider, just in case he tries to come in and get some width on us. Alright. Shouldn't be too much here. If he has a Twin Disciplines or a, I don't know, Shadow Isles removal spell, it's not going to be enough to take down Ashe. He would need 2 cards. I think this one's pretty well done now. Okay. So I guess the question would be is like, do we want to open attack or do we want to risk opponent having, he can't have the Ruination. He doesn't have enough mana. Okay. Witness true strength, bro.
Mine is the hand of Noxus.
Got the hand of Noxus coming at you. Oh boy. Oh boy. Scary times. The hand of Noxus coming out. This doesn't do anything? Alright. The other angle we could have looked to take this turn instead of playing Darius is we could have, say, played a Rhymefang Wolf, see if opponent wants to add a unit, and then if they add a unit, you can flash freeze one and then Ashe attack the other one to get the Ashe flip, and then nothing he has can block, but I think the Darius is ultimately safer here. The downside to that kind of play is if he has the Twin Disciplines and he's able to generate a blocker kind of out of nowhere. Alright, good stuff though. Well done, Katarina Ashe. I appreciate the hard work that you put in today. You tried hard, we tried hard, everybody tried hard. Nice little battle. You all swimming in all of your Black Friday sales extravaganzas. I purchased myself a new laptop because life is life is hard. You got to get yourself your own like Christmas present every year. Like there's like it's tough for me. Well, it's not tough for me. It's tough for other people because it's like if there's something I want, I just go and buy it. And so I don't like waiting until like Christmas rolls around to decide whether or not I want to buy something. And so I mean, I just buy it. It sucks to have to wait that time period, but I'm also not going to expect anyone to purchase me a laptop. And so that's one that it's like, okay, well, I can get myself this for Christmas and not feel terrible about it and get myself some of those Black Friday savings while we're at it. Okay, though, this is all well and reasonable. I assume this is a pretty similar match with Ashe Katarina. And then otherwise, I don't think these people are ever going to bring the Broodlings, but it's certainly a possibility there. Let's just bring our own Ashe Katarina and see if we play a mirror. He does go for the Elise stack. Okay. Is this where we want to start? Like, how much interactivity do we need in the early game? We can't stop an Elise on turn 2 right now. And we're on the odd attack, so we can't attack until turn 5 with both of these 4-drops. I think we look to just get rid of Ashe. Hang on to the Icy Yeti since it can still technically come in and block some of the opposing Fearsomes on turn 4. Let's see where that gets us. Did pick up a Calling Strike, so if he has Elise here, we can take her down. Sure.
Hush, my sweet. It'll be over soon.
It's probably okay now. Like, it does suck if they get to come in and, invest the 6 mana in the Brood Awakening thing, but... Not Brood Awakening, in the in the big unit boosting spell, Iceborne Legacy, but that's takes a lot from their board investment if that's the way they're going to go about it.
I know just the place.
Let's hold back. We don't get like a lot of value out of this Rhinefang Wolf attack, and then if he has a Crawling Sensation or another Elise in hand, I don't really want him getting all of the Spiderlings right now. All right, not a bad setup. Been taking away all his opportunities to hit these Spiderlings. We've gotten a pretty good board stall here. We're about to get into a bigger set of units. Ah, there it is. I'd say we're most certainly going to get hit with the spell on this upcoming turn. Interesting Brittle Steel. We can do a lot this turn. We can Katarina, Glory Seeker, Brittle Steel, potentially use that with the Wolf. Let's just do this. Let's start with Katarina. We could potentially look to take down one of these Spiderlings before he gets to play the spell, but like I don't think we're gonna have the time to fuck around with this stuff. Yep, that's fine. So our Blade's Edge isn't too spectacular at this point. I think this is all we want to bring in. Well, what if we do this? What if we House Spider? We can start to take some of this stuff down. It's just like I ultimately worry that we're going to get hit with a Brood Awakening next turn. There is some merit in letting him just kind of hold on to all of these units since it's very easy for him to overfill his board. Alright, well, let's see if we can grind through this stuff. It's a little worrisome. We need a Ashe or something so that we can attack without him being able to block with this big board. Ooh, the second one. Okay, so we'll take two of them down to 3 health. That gets them into Brittle Steel range. No reason to just block the Spiderling out here to the left. We're probably dead at this point, but we'll give it a shot. We can still do some big boom in here. Here's Ashe. Oh, we're at 0. Oh man, I didn't realize we were at 0 on these things. That's okay though. We can still get down the Yeti, we can get down Ashe, we can get down the Glory Seeker, we can Brittle Steel. Like, we're gonna have a good turn this turn.
Faster than my arrow?
I'd assume he's kind of banking in on a vengeance here. Brood Awakening. Okay, we can deal with that.
I need just a moment.
It's like, how much value is there even in attacking if he's just gone to refill the board out almost immediately? Doesn't seem like a ton. We just have to build up to getting an Ashe kill, but can't quite attack with Ashe on this board. Need to pick up a Harsh Winds or something to pull that off. Okay.
Stand and defend.
These are our lands.
Gotta get in one more block. What's that drop us to 1? All right. As good as that's going to get. You got a combat trick, that's fine. We got to have something go right here. The way things go right involve us having an Ancient Yeti to deal damage with next turn.
Nothing escapes my watch.
A little unfortunate we can't get enough frostbites in for Ashe. Ooh, crawling sensation. Okay. We're so close to the lethal with her. That sucks. Oh, that's at least generous. Like, I'm gonna Blade's Edge our Sentry. We need to be drawing a card here. We got to if we find like a Harsh Winds and a unit, we can still win this game. Darius. He's an interesting option as well. Let's go ahead and add this House Spider, just in case. Maybe we shouldn't have. If we want a Darius and play a
Sharpen the blade, secure the kill.
Harsh Winds, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
That egg, did it move? Mine is the hand of Noxus.
Okay, so Ashe, you get your attack in. That's pretty cool.
I'll cut them up. You're mine.
So we get to take down the one she's gonna flash freeze.
Strength above all.
And we need to get that Darius flip. And so if we come like this, the thing here is like I don't want to lose any of our blockers to just a hapless aristocrat. We can't attack with our background spiderlings, but I assume he's going to take an Ashe trade here. He's probably going to try and do something to the Ancient Yeti. And then if he wants to block Darius, he's going to lose a unit and Darius has got to survive. And so it's a way for us to potentially get out of this turn. There's the Vengeance, yeah. It's kind of had it all this game. The first spell was okay. It was the second one that we haven't been able to overcome. One blocker short at the moment, but if he opens, we can pick up a Flash Freeze, or we're still in that Harsh Wind space where it can potentially get us out of this. Nope. All right, GG. That's tough. I think we're still good to bring this deck into this matchup. It's not something I'm like really excited about taking Mist Wraiths into. It's like if they get a single Brood Awakening, then the deck kind of falls apart in terms of attacking with the Fearsomes, and so not really excited about that. But here, we like to ban out Jinx Draven, that's fine. If we have to do battle against the Anivia deck, it's okay. I just like to get the Jinx Draven out of the way. And then this is another space to where he probably can't ever play Fiora Shen. It's just, if he does have to take Fiora Shen up against a Freylord deck, it's just too easy for it to get rolled over by the Frostbites. And so I suspect we'll be doing battle against Anivia. Oh, cool. He lets us bring Tryndamere? Perfect. The Tryndamere is good against both decks. And so that feels like a bit of a win. All right, so let's hang on to the Trapper. He's the most reasonable early play we had here, and then we'll get rid of all that other stuff.
They're out there.
Everybody's got a Sentry. I'm blocking. We'd rather have his Sentry die now. We would like to take away the opportunities they have to kind of pick and choose when they're going to Black Spear. And so if we have his board kind of cleared out, then that's decent. Then of course he does have the champions that tie into those abilities as well. All right, Trapper time. See if we can't get some of these big 8/8 overwhelming 1-mana units. Nothing wrong with that.
Hot on the trail.
Got yourself a champion. Wonder if he's playing 2/2 and 2, or if he has 3 copies of Thresh. It's interesting seeing not just a Nivea. All right, then we didn't hit a Yeti on our first draw, so we got a 50-50 that the next unit's going to be a Yeti. So we can drop the Outlander, see if that's what turns up next. Ramp cards. Oh man, this is not what I was expecting out of here.
We go where the War Mother bids.
All right, so now we know for sure that top card of our deck is the Yeti. And so do we want to just go for it right now? Like, it is really nice to have the Yeti have all of the stats, especially like we don't have any interactivity right now. We just have a ton of spells in hand. And so giving him Overwhelm could be pretty big. Just otherwise, the Mighty plus the Sentry is pretty decent here. I think I'm just going to go for the Mighty and the Sentry. He's getting pretty close to where he's just going to say, like, Harsh wins us this turn and then play the Ruination next turn. So I don't want to get, like, super invested in this board. And I think the Sentry's kind of the safe path through that.
Nothing escapes my watch.
Nothing escapes my watch, bruh. Cool. Here come the damages. Interesting block with Callista. Like, why would you block a Sentry? I guess you do have to worry about her getting hit by a like a Vile Feast. So it makes a little bit of sense to put her in front of one of these, the smallest unit. But he's probably just not aware that we aren't playing. we aren't playing the Vile Feasts. Why would anyone suspect that, right? What do you mean you're not playing Vile Feast? He's playing Vile Feast. Interesting. It's like, I don't really want to play these trappers anymore. I'm not super interested in... I'm not super interested in having to draw these Yetis. What I'm curious about now is if we're able to just get like a big open attack on this next turn, which it looks like we should be able to do. It's not going to be lethal by any means, but we should be able to chunk in some damage and then get set up a little bit better for the upcoming Tryndamere. All right, so he definitely has a good block on the Spiderling. Don't care to lose that unit whatsoever. Otherwise, we're going to try and take the Callista down just to get rid of her. Attack her over to the left just in case he has some weird way to have allies die. And then we get to chunk in for reasonable damage. I would definitely suspect he's getting ready to ruinate, though. Drops a Nivea? Maybe not.
United, nothing can stop us.
Maybe not. You attack first. Okay. All right, let's see what we got on top. You got your Anivia? Sure. I don't feel like there's a ton of value in playing around a second Ruination. So this is like such a bad spot. It's like I don't want to be drawing these Yetis. We really want to be drawing the Harrowing or a big Overwhelm spell or something, but we just don't have a way around it at the moment. Let's see how much he can add to the board. We can maybe get around... he's got blockers everywhere. Oh, the Omen Hawks right at the end of the day. Well, we got to do what we can. Maybe we'll still draw that Harrowing off the top and not and not pick up those Yetis. You know, there's a chance. There's a shot. All right, so he's on double Anivia now. She's going to AoE our team for 4. We're going to lose all of our units that aren't Tryndamere. See what we can do. He's only got 1 card in hand, though. It's our potential saving grace here. As long as his card's not a good one. Okay. Let's him get in a little bit more damage. And a sentry. Okay. Well, we know what we're up against, right? That counts for something. Gonna go ahead and deliver the harsh winds just in case things don't turn out and we need to prevent have that damage stopped before the next attack rolls around. All right, we're just gonna draw another Yeti though, aren't we? This is not my first rodeo. Surprised he's not blocking with the sentry, but sure. Get to keep the unit around. And then we probably just need to be dropping our Yetis here. Oh my gosh, did he draw a way to kill Tryndamere? Well, Tryndamere's... Oh, he'll survive next turn at 1 health, right? Okay.
This is our time.
Open attacks here don't kill us. Oh, it does kill us. Oh no, we should have added something to the board. I was just thinking of 2 damage coming in from Anivia, not 4 damage coming in. Fuck me. Alright. That was sloppy. Right, Tryndamere should have stuck around at 1 health, but we threw that away.
Break the strong, slaughter the weak.
F. Okay, that's fine. No, it's not super fine. We need we need a way to overwhelm, and we can't overwhelm through these Anivias, but okay. All right, I guess you can do that. One time, dealer. One time. We had to draw through the Ancient Yetis, so we deserve it. We deserve it, right? Oh man. Oh man. We deserve it. Exacties. Oof. Oof. Sometimes you know what they say. Sometimes it's better lucky than good. And so that was sloppy. That was nasty. We should have just added those Yetis to the board, and then we would have had our our 9 attack Tryndamere ready to hit into 3 health. And so we got a little bit lucky there that our run gets to continue. Hopefully you learned a nice lesson while you were at it. All right, so what do we got here? I not really care about any of these decks. Again, I'm happy to keep up Fiora Shen. He's never going to want to run that into Freylord. The one that would probably be the just strongest is the Callista deck. So let's give it a ban. And oh, wow! I'm always surprised to see our middle deck get banned. And so, kind of an interesting space here. And do we want to bring the Katarina deck? And I think we do. My thing with the Katarina deck against the Ezreal Teemo is we have a bit more interactivity, right? We have all of these early game challengers, and so if we're up against Teemo, then we have a way to potentially challenge him down early, as to where against something like, or if we're playing our Tryndamere deck, we really only have like Shatters and Rhymefang Wolves, and so I think it feels a little bit better to you know, play the Katarina deck against Teemo and take him down with the Blade's Edge or something. Wasn't expecting to see Mage Seeker Conservators though. Fiora Shen, okay. It's Fiora Shen, I double checked. That's certainly the champions we're playing against. No Lux involved. So strange.
Never play fair.
All right, let's take down what we can. We're gonna, I think we're just, well, we don't have to open attack next turn. It's like, we can play Ashe, and then if he plays Fiora, the Ashe gets the Frostbite onto her, but I'm not really excited about running Ashe into this like 3-banked opponent with the potential for a Fiora. So let's do this. Let's just go ahead and swing in. That's fine. Now assume he's going to follow up with Fiora, and we can try and build this up to a Frostbite OTK 2 turns from now. Need one more Frostbite to do it, but it seems like something we should be reasonably close to.
My honor, you must die.
A true Freljordian will.
Man, wish we had a single way to try and stop this Fiora.
The finest blades for my lady.
I mean, a spell-based way, not all these unit-based ways to try and stop her.
I will cut you down.
Well, if this eats a riposte, that feels like a win.
Try me.
Guess it's not a riposte. Undisciplines. Okay. All right, what do we got? Some interactivity. We did pick up the interactivity, just not enough to take down the Fiora. So this is the kind of tough spot. If he has a single combat, then this Ashe is going to feel pretty terrible. But if he doesn't have the single combat, then we should just be good to win the game. Let's go ahead and drop the Sentry, see what happens. We do have the potential on this turn to say we can play Ashe and we can Brittle Steel the Bladekeeper. Then when we attack with Ashe, she's going to flip. The Fiora is going to be getting popped by the thing, and then he's just going to have these 2 bad blockers down here. I think this is the way to go about it, since we can't deal damage to Fiora this turn. Right, so we can do this. Attack with all of our friends. Ashe is going to flip. He can still potentially take down Ashe here, right? He can riposte one of these smaller units, or he can... I guess he could even riposte Fiora if you want, but... We're hurting a little bit and just not having a... again, a spell-based flash freeze. Dora riposte. Okay.
I have no time for fools.
So we are at risk of just dying next turn, right? If he's got a single combat in hand, he can hook and then take down some of our small plays. So, see what turns up.
I have no equals.
I'm curious if we can't pull off something with this Katarina next turn, though. If we can potentially get around some of the shenanigans with either the Blade's Edge or if we just get to attack with Ashe. So we'll see. See how fast he comes at us. We, of course, have the Crystal Arrow to
Let them eat souls.
potentially stop Fiora right now as well. Okay. So we're going to drop Katarina. Again, the big thing here is we get the Blade's Edge. So now if he wants to say single combat and riposte, he shouldn't be able to do anything there. Now here we want to take the guaranteed Frostbite onto the Fiora. We should have waited on this one, right? We should have played the Ancient Yeti first, because now we can add more units, but I think we're okay in this space now. Right, if he wants to go for the fourth tick with a prismatic barrier, single combat or something, we'll lose the combat, right? But the Fiora will die and not get the OTK. Okay, not a big deal. NBD. Brood Awakening. that's not one I was expecting, but we can beat that. This might hurt, bruh. Getting battle academia'd. He's only got one blocker. That can block Ashe. Looks like he'll take about 1 million otherwise. We did it. GG. Good job, Bus. Okay.
A new Freljord will rise.
All right, the final battle, the last one. No more battles beyond this one. That's what final means. Let's see what we run up against. Okay, this is more of the aggro package, if you will. Again, we're going to ban out the Jinx Draven. That's fine. See what he leaves up for us. I'm happy enough to play any of these decks. Probably just won't play Elise. Well, Elise gets removed, and so on with the Ashe. So we didn't play the Elise deck in any of these games, and that's fine. Like, the way that you're really looking for it is when you're up against just a bunch of Shadow Isles opponents, and I don't think we ran into that space today as to where we played against the triple Shadow Isles lineup, and we would prefer to have it than the Ashe deck. But he's coming at us with Zed, definitely keeping the Glory Seeker just to have the early interactivity. I think we'll get rid of Ashe and just hang on to the Yeti since we'll get to shrink up his cost a little bit. Ashe says, "Nah, man, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to party." Ooh, and a Calling Strike. Let's keep that. It's quite important against both Zed and Lucian, and so now we're in this kind of space. We can drop a Glory Seeker, see what he does. He typically, like, he's in this really weird spot now, right? If what we're going to look to do is probably just add the Glory Seeker and then pass. If he's going to pass with the full 3 bank, he's trying to get like a Zed on board protected, but we can kind of take that away from him if we just pass here. Let's see what happens. Got a Glory Seeker. Happily trade. See if he brings in a spell to try and protect. Doesn't have it. It's like if he had a prismatic barrier or something there, then I would have felt pretty good about dropping a Calling Strike. Now the Brittle Steel makes an appearance. Good against both the big champions.
Fierce and fashionable, no?
Laurent Duelist, I like it.
All the world on one arrow.
Not too scared here with our Ashe and all this mana backup, and so
You'd be right to fear me.
Katarina, cool. Let's get this party going now, man. We got all the tools one could need. Battle Academia, Katarina. These fancy skins. What? You want me to lead the Assassin Club? What happened to the club president? The vice president? Did you just kill a bunch of people? Oh my gosh. That's not particularly nice. that was not a nice thing for you to do, Katarina.
Let the bloodshed begin. To the point.
All right, here comes the squad. He's going to have the chance to try and take Ashe down with the Blade Keeper. That's fine. We got this Brittle Steel to try and protect against it. He can then take her down with like a riposte or something, and if he has to spend the mana on a riposte, that's completely okay. He's got to make such a big investment that doesn't add anything to his board that makes me feel nice and cozy and safe. Interesting. I did not expect it to. Oh well, shit. Twin Disciplines isn't going to get a kill. He needed a riposte there.
My way.
Sure. He's really invested in protecting these units. I would have to imagine at this point, this is weird, right? You would typically start doing shit like this if you just have a hand of like 5 combat tricks, and you're like, okay, I have to absolutely come in and protect my units, because otherwise, like if I don't have any units on board, like these 6 combat tricks aren't going to do anything. But when he's coming out here and then not like actually killing Ashe, then it's so strange to me. Oh, this is not going to turn out well. So if he has a rush here, it's still okay. Rush would be the one that we're kind of scared of. Now we just win the game, right? We got Katarina going. Ashe is going to attack, get the flip mid-attack. He can't block with anything. Guess you could technically have a rush, but if he didn't have a rush on that previous attack, I wouldn't expect him to have it now. And then it should be enough to end the game. GG. Well played, my friend. And so yeah, not a bad set of battles. Not a bad set of battles. I was pretty happy with the lineup and how things went. And we can pull it up, talk about it a little bit more. And so again, there's like the kind of, I think, 2 ways you have to angle yourself in this format. You have to say, okay, I'm going to be ready to beat up on Jinx Draven, or okay, I'm going to be ready to beat up on the Shadow Isles decks. And you're just so much more likely to run into whatever flavor of Shadow Isles deck, and run into those decks in multiple quantities. That I think that the way that you should probably be setting up your lineup is just preparing yourself for Shadow Isles. And so we don't play the stuff that you would want to battle with Draven, right? We're not playing Grasp the Undyings, Vile Feast, Withering Whales. Like, that removal package is just not a part of our lineup. We're just looking to ban Jinx Draven. And so after that, I think this kind of like twin pairing of the Tryndamere Overwhelms deck along with Ashe just leaves you in such a good spot, right? So if your opponent doesn't ban out your your Tryndamere deck with the Shadow Isles, then you get the the matchups that you want. And then as we're seeing all this weird shit like Fiora Shin, you have a pretty good set of a pretty good set of units and battles there as well. And so the thing that kind of curiouses me with this lineup, gets the kind of the brain fuel spinning, is again in the last one we brought a Noxan based Overwhelms deck, right? We're playing Darius Katarina Overwhelms, and then we of course had the Harrowing in it as our anti-Shadow Isles tool. And I'm curious if we shouldn't be moving into that kind of space, as to where the Ashe deck, I don't feel like really needs Katarina. It is strong in there, but she can certainly survive without it. And then if we don't play Katarina in there, we can then move her over to a Noxus-based Overwhelms deck with the Harrowing in it. And so then if we run into these matches like where we had to play against Spiderlings, and our choices were either the Fearsome's deck, which we didn't want, or the Ashe deck, which is Ashe is more centered on dealing with a singular big unit, right? Your opponent's playing Fiora, you get to flash freeze it, you're done at the end of the day. Doesn't do well against things like Brood Awakening. And so that's the space where I feel like we didn't really have a good answer. I don't remember the exact lineup there. I think we banned out Anivia, and then he had the Brood Awakening deck, but that's where I think we kind of fall to a point of weakness. So I feel like I want to be playing double Harrowing plus Ashe, but I wasn't happy with our second Harrowing deck with the way that the things turned out. And so maybe we'll explore that a little bit more in the next gauntlet, see if we can't rearrange things a little bit so that we have that Noxus-based Overwhelms deck as a tool to get in a second Harrowing. Because as we're just in the sets right now, we don't have any other like really strong Harrowing options. You either have to play Shadow Isles and go towards the Fearsomes, or you can look to add in Noxus as a way to pick up the additional Overwhelms. Just none of the other factions have any at this stage. And so I think that's what we'll look towards in our next video, see which version we kind of prefer. I think we're locked in on Tryndamere being the way to go. I think we're locked in on Ashe being the way to go. Ashe can function without Katarina, and then she can even function without Darius. But I think we probably want Katarina, Darius as the Noxan champions, and then we'll just figure out something else to play with Ashe and see how that goes. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with these battles. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.